Good afternoon, everybody. I'm State Representative Mark Mustio from Allegheny County. I'm joined this morning by Policy Committee Chairman Sterla and Representative Mosser, who's our caucus administrator. I'm here today personally out of total, absolute frustration with what's happening with some of the hypocrisy that's going on related to the gaming industry. And this morning we got an email from the Pennsylvanians for Responsible Government talking about, how this is hurting the lottery. You know, video gaming terminals will hurt the lottery. Yet today we have the absolute expansion of gambling happening in Pennsylvania, uncontrolled, and there's an example of it across the street in this convenience store. A video gaming machine. Video gaming machine, I think you were all sent a link to, that can be played by our kids. I got a call and had a conversation earlier this morning. A constituent said, you know, Mark, these video gaming machines are going in. I'm thinking about renting a space in my legislative district to put 50 machines in. It would be a great under 21 club. We could have 50 of these video gaming machines, just limited to people under 21 because the casinos have the over 21 market, right? Is that really what we want to do here in Pennsylvania? The only gambling that's going on in Pennsylvania right now are the untaxed, unregulated, illegal machines and these video gaming machines. So I'm really sick and tired of, on the one hand, saying we can't have these video gaming terminals in bars, taverns, and clubs where they'll be regulated with the threat of losing your liquor license, where the consumer in Pennsylvania who is actually playing these games will make more money as they win and will have competition for the casinos. Yet these machines that are behind me that are unregulated and untaxed are going to be played by anyone from the age of theory when they're born until they die. Unregulated, untaxed, without one single threat of losing a license because there's no license to lose across the street. Unless we in Pennsylvania have the guts, I almost used another term, guts, to do what's right. Instead of playing to those billion-dollar special interests out of state, and we start staying focused on increasing revenues by not taking money out of our hardworking families with other taxes or trying to punish an industry with other taxes, but regulate something that's happening right now so that we can help fill holes in our budget and fund our schools of higher education. And I'd like to turn it over now to Representative Sterla.
Thanks, Chairman Mustio. As was pointed out, currently there are facilities like across the street and throughout the state of Pennsylvania that have illegal video gaming terminals. The proposals that we have put forward are to try and regulate that industry in a way that it is a competitive, tax-paying industry that benefits the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The opposition, amazingly enough, has not been from the illegal video gaming terminal operators. It's been from the casino operators who see any competition that is legal and viable in this state as not having a place. Apparently they would rather see the illegal machines like across the street and in other places throughout the state of Pennsylvania than they would a well-regulated industry. There are multiple opportunities with a well-regulated VGT industry to not only help the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there are advertising opportunities on those machines. If the casinos want to advertise, they can do that. We have funding streams set up for the lottery in that legislation. It is a way to make everyone whole and everything legal, as opposed to the system that we have going on now. This is not an expansion of gaming in the state of Pennsylvania. We're getting rid of 20 to 40,000 illegal machines and replacing them with 20 to 40,000 legally regulated machines. So the hope is that we can get the Senate to move on this. We've already sent a bill over there. If they want to have some input on that bill, we welcome that. But the notion of simply rejecting it out of hand when the state needs revenue and there's an illegal black market industry going on in the state just doesn't seem to make any sense. You know, when I first started out on this, I tried to remind people, remember, it was a former attorney general in this state. Some of you don't look old enough to even remember that he existed. A guy named Ernie Priate, who went to jail for illegal gaming terminals in the state of Pennsylvania. That was before I got to Harrisburg, and I've been here for more than a quarter of a century. It's about time we finally do what's right, regulate this industry, and move forward. Thanks. Representative Moss?
I think I'll just reiterate that this is the one piece of the gaming bill that we put over to the Senate that truly is an expansion. This is regulating an industry that is going on now. This is the only piece of the gaming bill that is an expansion. This is taking care of the people who play these machines, make sure that they are playing on regulated, fair machines. And it's also ensuring that the taxpayers of Pennsylvania are benefiting, because they're not benefiting right now. This is the only piece out of that. The biggest question is, are we for the big conglomerates, or are we for small business? I'll be for small business every time, and we need to insist that the Senate take a look at this and stick with the small business people across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
You know, there were a couple other things that were said in that press email, or email this morning from the Pennsylvanians for Responsible Government.
Which is really the casino industry.
Which is really, yeah, correct, funded by the casino industry. It says lagging lottery sales raises gaming expansion red flags. Well, I'll tell you what's really hurt the lottery, if that's the case. If that's the case, I'm not really concede that because it didn't happen in other states, is the rapid expansion of these video gaming machines. The gaming machines across the street that we're talking about. Just to give you an idea, in 2008, when Pace-O-Matic debuted their machines in New York, they said, as a condition of purchase, operators will be required to sign an agreement that stipulates the game be installed in taverns only, not in malls or fraternal clubs, and out of proximity to schools. So how hypocritical is it for us just to turn a blind eye to something that's proliferating in Pennsylvania with no regulations and no tax, when we have the opportunity before us to learn what has happened in other states, which would significantly generate revenue for our budgets. But we can't continue to ignore that and have one side continue to proliferate something that totally is opposite of what their arguments are as far as it relates to expanding gambling for our youth. Now, we'll be available for questions if anyone has any. Thank you. Yes. Well, I think if we listen to what the Senate said, they said they're not. That there's not going to be any VGTs in the gambling legislation. We're here to say that as far as the House is concerned, this is our only bite at the apple. This is a gambling bill that has significant amounts of expansion in it, but none of which are related to video gaming terminals. All that's doing is really trying to cap what's out there, tax it and regulate it, so that the people that are currently playing those games in bars and clubs will get compensated at the level, at a minimum, of what the casinos are. Right now, it's 40% less.
I also think it's interesting to see that There seems to be an attempt to say that it's okay to leave 20 to 40,000 illegal machines out there instead of replacing them with legal machines, and then to add the mini casinos on top of that, and that's not going to have any impact on anything. I personally think it's much wiser to simply replace the illegal machines with legal machines, and that has much less impact on the lottery and the casinos than the mini casinos would.
I think that's more of a leadership question, but the reason we're here today is because of the significant amount of proliferation that's what's happening. I mean, once you start putting these machines like across the street in convenience stores, right? They're going to be popping up anywhere. As I said, I got a phone call that said, how about if I put 50 machines and create a little mini casino of my own? Is there anything, Mark, that prevents that? I said no. In fact, some of the ones I've seen have stickers on them that say, we prefer nobody under 18 play them, right? What kind of regulation is that? Not realistically. I think there's some hocus pocus that can be done, you know, that's been done in the past. We're going to book X amount of dollars for it, but if you talk to some of the casinos, they don't even want the ancillary casinos. But it's a way to block legalizing video gaming terminals in the future. If you put more ancillary machines out there in more legislative districts, right, then those legislators or senators in those districts are not going to be necessarily for legalizing video gaming terminals in the future. And the delay process to implementing getting an ancillary casino could take years, right? And so we'll never have that debate opportunity or legislative opportunity like we do now, because it'll always be, oh, let's just wait until we get the ancillaries in place. But how hypocritical is it to say, oh, we're going to have cannibalization of the casinos, yet they build them all around our borders, right? And then they're going to build mini ones, and they don't think that those casinos, who they say are different clientele that go to taverns, are going to go to the mini casino before they go to their other. It just makes no sense. And the casinos will, most of the casinos will tell you that.
I would just add, on that question, is it going to lead to a standoff? I would say that I question if we have the votes in the House without the VGTs, because the majority of the members are talking that it's time we stick with small businesses and our clubs before we go with the big guys. And I think there are going to be a number of members, certainly, that are going to draw that line in the sand. I don't know that we have the votes without VGTs. I'm just hoping that the Senate can see that we could really use these and we could clean up a otherwise gray industry.
If I could, the casino industry and everything is also getting some perks also. We're talking about the machines in airports. We're talking about allowing for internet gaming, where all that would be run through the casinos. We're expanding gaming in the casinos, essentially. But we believe that there's other people, particularly the small taverns in our own districts and the social clubs, that should have a shot at this also. And contrary to the advertising that you see where these things will be popping up, you know, next to schools and in nursing homes, that's where they're popping up now illegally. If we can regulate it, we can prevent that from happening.
Yes, you can. Nobody, it's free market. I mean, a 12-year-old boy can go play that. He wins a ticket, he takes a ticket, and they bring cash out from behind and give it to them. And there's slightly different types of machines, but it's the same concept, right? We're just going to make it a little nuanced, kind of like changing the word from taxes to revenue enhancement. All right, you get it? You guys get it, right? So we want to say it one way or make it, just change it a little bit so it's looks like we can get it past the courts, right? So we have not weighed in as a legislature on this issue. And I think it really is hypocritical for us. And really, that's why we're here today, is so you guys can start asking the tough questions of policymakers and start looking at them. How can you let this exist, yet not, and continue to let the others exist when we have these budget problems and protect these big out-of-state companies? I'm having trouble as a person that doesn't have any skin in the game, other than if we're not going to make strong enforcement and get rid of all the illegal machines, then we should do what other states are doing and capitalize on it. But if that's the only reason I'm interested in this process. If somebody came out and says we're going to get rid of them all, but quite honestly, law enforcement should be spending time on the opioid situation, and we as policymakers should be legislating for the citizens of Pennsylvania and not for big interest. That's the bottom line. Thank you.